All right. I think we are live. Let's get started, y'all. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Be checking my sound as people come in. Good evening. Good evening. All right. Yep. My sound is good. Dope. All right. What's good, everybody? What's good, everyone? Got a couple things to chat about today. We'll be diving into a few different topics. We got some meets coming up on Thursday, meet on Saturday in New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. We just saw the Jamaicans open up their 2026 season. Some notable Jamaicans, of course. Noah Lyles opened up. We got a couple things to dive into. We gonna roll. And yeah, anyone could feel free. I think I'll be, I don't know, I may be more brief than last week. Maybe I only have like I think three things to dive into today. But if there's any like things y'all want me to talk about at the end, feel free to post them in the chat. I'm of course gonna circle back, have a conversation. Shout out to y'all. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Hope everyone had a good long weekend. Yep, great to see you back. Great to see you. Great to see you here. You know, I mean, again, this is the third live I've done in this. Well, I guess the past 3 weeks, and the first time I'm getting back on live since I think early 2024. So we're talking about 2 years of me like jumping back onto lives. And I wanted to test out how these lives are flowing. So we may, we gonna continue. I mean, we gonna continue. But yeah, good to see y'all. We'll just wait a couple seconds as I get things set up on my end. But yeah, I'm excited. Listen, obviously the NCAA athletes, they have been rolling. Pro athletes have been jumping into things, but now we got some meets coming up, right? Again, New Balance is coming up this weekend. Milrose is going to be the following weekend. I'll be at New Balance this weekend, and Milrose as well. But so I'm heading up to Boston at the end of this week. So it's going to be exciting. And then at the end of this, it's going to culminate in a World Indoor Championship. So this is a championship indoor season. I don't know. I'm excited. Obviously, it's not as high stakes as outdoors. Indoors is just never going to be as high stakes. And especially considering it's an off year, it's just not going to be as high stakes. But I do like the fact that we got another World Indoor Champs. It's been back to back to back. What, 2023? Or did it? No, 2024, 2025, 2026. Yeah. 2022 in Belgrade. Yeah, 2024 in Glasgow, 2025 in Nanjing, and then this year, 2026 is going to be in Poland. So a lot of World Indoor Champs. Yeah, time is moving, man. I feel like it's been I'm gonna get to the trackflation in a second, but I feel like I personally low-key feel like we're just coming off of 2020, right, where we lost a year due to the pandemic. I feel like we're still living back in like 2019 when Doha was going on. Like it was crazy, but we've just seen so much growth. And I think one of the reasons to me is like we haven't had an off year. So it's like, we haven't had an off year. So this is the first off year since 2018. And last year, we had the World Championships all the way at the end of the season. It literally was the quote unquote last meet of the season. Obviously, Athos happened after that, but that was the last meet of the season. So now we're jumping right back into indoors, and it's only been a couple months. So it makes it seem like, wow, time is literally flying. So I feel that. Trackflation, man. I mean, yeah, it's moving. I mean, there's so many different factors. One day I'll dive in. I know. Shout out to Coach Rob. He obviously talks about the high school kids very frequently. Even shout out to Colin on Track World News. He be diving in with the high school kids too. It's like, a lot of these kids are making a lot of progress very quickly. And there's a trillion different factors that you can chalk it up to, whether it is just like basic technology in terms of like the shoes on a basic level, right? Spike technology obviously has improved when we're in the super spike era. The opportunities for money, the opportunities for athletes to train more like professionals in a sense. Like there's so many different factors that lead into why high school athletes are, making so much progress so quickly. But hey, it's happening. It's happening. I feel like the last 3 years have been in a track haze. 2023 mad women's sprint times. Yeah, right. You saw the women's times in 2023 were crazy. We saw Sha'Carri and Sharika both run 10.65 that year. We saw Sharika running 21.4. We saw Gabby running 21.6. Like, it was crazy, right? 2024 Olympics, that whole buildup, and obviously the Olympics with the crazy times and all the storylines. 2025, the post Olympics, the run up to Worlds, and now we're here again. And it's like 2026. So much is happening in 2026. Even though it's an off year, you got athletes who are trying out different events, right? You got, the World Ultimate Championships, you got Commonwealth Games, you have European Championships, and then we're about to roll into another World Championships and Olympic cycle. Like, it's moving, it's moving. So I feel that. I definitely feel that. All right. So we got a couple things to dive into today. I'm going to be talking about the Jamaicans, so like Kishane and Bryan Levell, and them opening up their seasons, and Tia Clayton. You also have, I'm going to talk about Noah Lyles, his season's opener in the 300, kind of give you my breakdown and what my thoughts there. 4 different NCAA results I really do think they stood out to me. There's 4 different NCAA results, not to disparage anything else, but there's 4 athletes who really stood out to me. And then I'm going to do a quick preview of the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. I'll kind of just flow through that. But yeah. And then again, if there's anything that's on your minds, we could definitely chat through it as we go through. Yeah. Oh, it's so true. Sorry. The 100-meter championship record broken 3 championships in a row. And even, wait, is it 3 or is it? Oh, well, okay. Yeah. Sorry. We had the Olympics. I was like, yeah. Because Shelly 2022, she runs what? 10.67. And then in 2023, you have Sha'Carri runs 10.65. And now in 2025, we got, Melissa Jefferson Wood in 10.60. It's like, back to back to back. And that's nothing to say who might jump in. I mean, by the time we get to Beijing next year, if we're going to say someone's going to run 10.5, which is very possible, it's crazy. It's crazy. So we'll see. I'm excited to see how, I don't know, the year progresses and, how we kind of, get started with things. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to dive in and we're going to talk about some of these Jamaicans. Let me just pull up to make sure I have the results up here. Because, I want to make sure I can chat through. And then, feel free to put y'all questions in the chat as I kind of talk through and chat. But yeah, good to see y'all. Thanks for coming in, y'all. All right, so let me, I'm losing my screen. Let me see what's up here. All right, got it. Okay. Oh yeah, my bad. 10.61 for Melissa Jefferson Wooden, not 10.60. My bad. You're right. Shelly is still number 3 all time with her 10.60. Melissa is right behind with 10.61. And that equaled the Olympic record that Elaine Thompson-Herah set back in 2021 of 10.61. So yes, my bad. Thanks for that cross check. Always need a quick cross check. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about some of these Jamaican athletes who have kicked off their 2026 season indoors, but they did run the 60 meters outdoors. And of course, I'm talking about Kishane Thompson, Bryan Levell, Tia Clayton. Those are the most notable names who dipped their toes into the outdoor 60 meters this past weekend down in Jamaica, came out with some notable and some interesting results. And now we're going to be turning their focus to the indoor season, at least this weekend or this Thursday in Stockholm indoors. They're going to be running the 60. And then you'll also potentially see some of them, compete throughout the rest of the indoor season, though that's still a little TBD. So first off, in the men's 60 meters, we did see that Kishane Thompson actually went toe-to-toe with Bryan Levell as well as McPherson. All 3 of them coming out 1, 2, 3. Kishane Thompson running 6.52 seconds. You also saw McPherson run 6.53, and then you saw Bryan Levell. He came out with 6.54. Now, last year, we did see that Kishane had run 6.4 seconds outdoors in the 60 meters, similar at the GC Foster College meet. Similar at the GC Foster College meet where he ran it into a headwind. So people were definitely like, whoa, Kishane, insane talent. Obviously, he went on to, run indoors, didn't match that performance, but we know that he is an extremely talented athlete. So there were high expectations for this, for what Kishane was doing here. 6.52, I personally think this is an interesting but not very telling result in different ways. So first off, 6.52, I think in general, this just continues what Kishane had been doing from last year. Again, he had run 6.4 outdoors. you can question whatever the performance was. But when he did get indoors, he ran 6.5 seconds, I think 6.53 out in Kazakhstan. So I think this lines up with what form he was at last year at the top of the year. So nothing too much to read about that. But what was notable, at least to me, was how the race actually did unfold with McPherson and Levell really coming up on Kishane right behind him, almost catching him at the finish. Again, you're talking about 6.52 to 6.53 and 6.54. Now, Kishane, he got his bullet start. We know that Kishane is more than capable of getting an explosive start, even despite him being this really, really big, athlete in terms of his size and everything. He's going to get out of the blocks smooth, or maybe not say smooth, but he's going to get out of the blocks probably first, or if not, at least equal with a lot of people. In this race, he got out first. But as they kind of hit 30, 40, 50 meters, Kishane was getting run down by McPherson and Levell. And then by the time we get to the end, like I said, 100th of a second behind is McPherson, another 100th of a second behind is Levell. And this made it a very, very interesting race for all three of these guys, but mainly Kishane and Bryan Levell. One thing that I really do look at when talking about when looking at Kishane here is that he does need to really work on the second half of his race. Obviously, this was a 60 meters, but we see what occurs in the 100 meters where he is able to get out very fast. But then when we get to 50, 60 meters, you're talking about Oblique Seville. You're talking about Noah Lyles. They're starting to run him down in those hundreds, which we saw at the Olympic Games in 2024, where Noah Lyles ran down Kishane, which we saw at the World Championships in 2025 when Oblique Seville ran down Kishane. So it's now maybe showing up a little bit in the 60 meters. And if he isn't able to actually fully execute through 60, then that's not a really positive sign on what he's, going to be able to do when we get outdoors, and or if he continues for a full indoor season in the 60. That's one of my biggest concerns, that tightening it up, the form breaking down, especially when you have a lot of, other athletes who are very close to him. That's one thing that I did notice. And I think many, many people, really did notice here. So that's something that I would keep an eye out for Kishane as we go through the season. Now, one thing that's good is whether or not he runs the World Indoor Champs or a full indoor season, there's no World Championships or Olympic Games this year. So there's no global championships outside of World Ultimate Championships. So in theory, this would be a good opportunity for him to work on that second half and really work on that speed endurance, which is where I would like to see him running some of these 200s. Now, I don't think he's run a 200-meter race since 2022, possibly at the top of 2023. I'd have to cross-check. But I would really like to see Kishane run a 200 to, again, work on that speed endurance to build up that strength in the second half of 100. So we know he's going to get an explosive start, but can he maintain it so that he doesn't get caught? That's going to be the question. And if he does dip his toes into some 200s, that I think would be really, really beneficial for him. I can actually cross-check very quickly because Kishane, again, he hasn't run many 200s. Yeah, the last time he ran a 200 was in 2022. All the way back in 2022, he ran 20.92 seconds, which remains as his personal best. And he did this in April of 2022. So this is even before the Kishane Thompson that we know today existed. Like he was not Kishane Thompson, who was running, I don't even think he had broken 10 seconds. His best in 2022 was 10.21 seconds. So that's the last time that we saw him run a 200. And obviously, I think, in my opinion, if he was to dip his toes into the 200, he would drastically improve, even just forget his times, but at least his ability to maintain in that second half. That's what I think many people would love to see. And again, if Kishane doesn't actually fix it up, then situations like this, where some other guys who we'll talk about in a second, they're going to start to creep up, not only in the 100 meters, but now we're coming in the 60. Now, shout out to McPherson, 6.53 personal best for second place here. He hasn't broken 10 seconds in the 100. He hasn't broken 20 seconds in the 200 as well. He's not really as strong of, one of the top Jamaican athletes, but overall a great performance for him. But what I did want to talk about, or who I did want to talk about, is Bryan Levell. And I think this is where a lot of people's eyes definitely did perk up, or ears perked up, or whatever you want to say, right? This, I think, was a very, very notable race for him. 6.54 seconds, personal best. He doesn't run many 60s, but when you look at what Bryan Levell has done, so this is Bryan Levell, when we look at what he's done in the 60 meters, this is a personal best by a very, very wide margin. So you're talking about 6.54, improves on his previous best of 6.59, which he ran, I think, in 2024. And then last year, he had run 6.64 in the 60 meters, right? Last year in March. So if he's already dropping down to 6.54 seconds, to me, that gives a very strong indicator that he is essentially picking up right where he left off in 2025, where we saw him, run a personal best in the 200 of 19.64 seconds to get the bronze medal at the World Championships, coming off the back of him running 19.69 seconds at the Hungary Continental Tour. We also saw him run 9.82 seconds at one of the smaller meetings out in Europe, right? He didn't run the 100 at the World Champs, but I think many people are kind of starting to put together the idea that Bryan Levell is going to be a very, very strong threat in the future in both the 100 and the 200. He's a very, very strong athlete. And this 60-meter performance from Bryan Levell, in my opinion, does just further justify it and picks up right where he left off in 2025. Now, one big thing I look at with Bryan Levell, and this kind of just, for me personally, justifies it again, I really think he has the potential to become the greatest all-around sprinter that Jamaica has right now in this current generation. And when we're looking at this generation, we're talking about Kishane Thompson, Oblique Seville, Akeem Blake, Bryan Levell, Raheem Ford, Ron Watson, right? Like those are the core sprinters. Obviously, you also can add in some other guys like an Antonio Watson, Christopher Taylor, some of those other guys who are in the conversation as well. But Bryan Levell, I think, truly has the capabilities to become I feel like he can become the greatest all-around sprinter for Jamaica in this current generation. Now, let me make sure I'm being clear in this generation, because I'm not going to talk about the Usain Bolts of the world at this point. I'm not even ready to talk about the Johan Blakes of this world, right? You're talking about 9.69 from Johan and 19.2, right? 19.26. Usain Bolt, obviously 9.58, 19.19. Like that's a whole different realm. But I do think Bryan Levell, considering he has a 200-meter personal best of 19.64, and he's backed it up with a 19.69, and he's backed that up with a windy 19.7, and he has other, at the World Champs, he ran 19.8, 19.7, 19.6. Like, he has so many fast times in the 200 that I don't think he's really shown his prowess in the 100 as well. We've seen him run that 9.82 out in Europe last year. If he got to the World Championships, obviously hypothetical, but who knows what he would have been capable of running there based on what we saw him do in the 200. Now going forward, and I think he's the youngest of the entire group when we're talking about Kishane, Oblique, Akeem, and Bryan, right? He's only 22 years old, just turned 22 years old. So he has a very, very high ceiling, I think, when talking about the 100, 200, he said he wants to dip into the 400. I'm not putting expectations there. I mean, I think his personal best in the 400 is only like 47.6. So he's not like a 400-meter runner in any capacity. But when talking about Bryan Levell as an all-around sprinter, I do think a lot of athletes should be a bit worried if he continues on this trajectory. It's a question on what he's going to be able to do in 2026. I doubt he's not going to be running in Stockholm like Kishane Thompson and the Clayton twins and all that. But when we get outdoors, do not sleep on Bryan Levell. This is a big, at least kind of thing I'm thinking of. I think Bryan Levell he has the potential to become the greatest all-around Jamaican sprinter of this current generation. Don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. That 200-meter talent makes him more dangerous, in my opinion, than Oblique Seville and Kishane Thompson. Oblique Seville has a lot of untapped talent in the 200. Obviously, the issue with his toe has prevented him from really running it. He did get surgery, so we'll see him run more 200s. But we're talking about Bryan Levell running 19.6 already and 9.82. Listen, we'll see. Bryan Levell, he has a big future. But again, Oblique, I think Oblique is also just getting started. He has some untapped potential in that 100. Kishane, he has a lot of untapped potential. All of them are young, so we can't sleep on the Jamaicans. Now, last athlete I did want to talk about here in Jamaica was Tia Clayton. She opened up as well, and she ran 7.02 seconds down in Jamaica at the GC Foster College meet. And this was a personal best for her. The wind plus 1.2 meters per second. So legal performance, really strong personal best coming off. I think her personal best was 7.14 seconds, which she ran last year or 2024. And she actually ran that into a headwind. So this was a big performance for her, really strong, and a good indication that she is picking up where she left off from last year. And now moving forward, I think she's in a very good position to have a strong 2026. I also do want to give a shout out to Janelle Smith, who ran 7.06 seconds. Janelle Smith gets overlooked. I guess, it's understandable because she isn't a Sharika, a Shelly, and Elaine, even the Clayton twins or Brianna Liston. Like, she's not of that realm. But she's almost had like a kind of resurgence over the past 2 years or so. 7.06 for Janelle Smith is a personal best for her. Improves on her personal best from some time ago. I think either last year or some time ago, 2019. And last year, she ran a 100-meter personal best at the Jamaican trials. She ran 11.03 seconds. Now, she's never broken 11 seconds, but she's almost like a Jamaican vet in a sense, where 2019 was Janelle Smith's best year, where she was running 100-meter personal best. She made the Jamaican team on the relay and ran the relay that got the gold medal on the 4x1 at the World Championships in Doha. So shout out! I just want to shout out Janelle Smith. She really did put on a good performance here, and she's having a big resurgence. But when talking about Tia Clayton, I think, is now putting herself in a very, very good position to start off her 2026 season, to continue off what she did last year, and just ensure that she's focused and getting into the realm of what we saw from her sister, Tina, who, of course, got the silver medal at the World Champs last year. Tia Clayton, last year in 2025, she ran her personal best. I'm going to just bring up the 100. She ran her personal best of 10.82 seconds, and she dropped that at the Jamaican trials. 2025, she did that at the Poland Diamond League. Actually, let me cross check. Am I looking at yes, Tia Clayton. Why am I remembering that at Jamaica? Oh, yes. This is what I'm thinking of. Jamaican trials, she ran 10.86 seconds in the semifinal. So I was cross checking. But yeah, so last year she ran her personal best 10.82. She ran 10.84 out in Zurich. And then at the Jamaican trials, she ran 10.86 seconds in the semifinals, but got injured and was unable to finish in the 100-meter final. I think many people would have guessed that she was on her path to potentially make that team. Hypothetical, right? But she is, I think, continuing on right where she left off with this 60-meter personal best of 7.02 at the top of 2026. I think the goal for Tia Clayton is to remain healthy. If she can remain healthy, then she can get back to that form that saw her, running those 10.8s and saw her running, very consistently on the Diamond Leagues. And when we get to 2027, she's definitely going to be a medal threat, very similar to like her sister Tina was, right? So we'll see. We've already seen Tia make the Olympic final, right? She finished sixth place in the Olympic final in 2024. She is going to be a threat. She is, one of the future top athletes when talking about the 100 meters for women's sprinting. So I'm excited to see how things do unfold for Tia Clayton. And then looking forward, in just a few days time, on Thursday, we will have the indoor meeting in Stockholm. And this is where we're going to see Tia Clayton and Tina Clayton running the 60 meters. So Tia already opened up here down in Jamaica. Tina Clayton, she'll be opening up. So this will be indoors as opposed to outdoors. So this will be an interesting race. On all due respect, no one truly notable, when we're talking about the rest of the 60-meter field. But I think these two women are going to be the class of the field. And then when we're looking at the men's, this is where we're going to see Kishane Thompson opening up indoors to back up what he did outdoors. So this will be interesting to see. We're going to see Kishane Thompson. We're going to see Rohan Watson, and then a few others. Jeremiah Azu is in his field, world indoor champion from 2025. You have Glave. He's been a strong contender as well. Samuel Cicerelli. He's always been he's been a workhorse when talking about the Italian 4x1 and, indoor. He's a European indoor champion, I think, in 2022 as well. So decent field across the board, but all eyes are, of course, going to be on Kishane Thompson. And then on the women's side, we're going to be looking to see what Tia and Tina Clayton are able to do. So that's Jamaicans. They're kicking off, in my opinion, 2026 on a very, very strong note. I do want to say, though, I think, in my opinion, Bryan Levell. Bryan Levell is a guy that people should look out for, not even just this year, but really into the future. He's going to be someone to really keep an eye out for. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm excited for the Jamaicans. I'm excited to see how the Jamaicans actually do play out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing some good comments, especially about Bryan, right? Yeah. Listen. Yeah, Bryan Levell's performance, I completely agree. So yeah, Bryan Levell. Oh, my bad. I might have lost a comment. So Bryan Levell had a very good race, given he had a horrible start, yet still managed to run back and just miss out by 200ths of a second. To the hundredths a second. Since there's not much time to run back at 60 meters compared to 100. Completely agree. And the fact that he was closing on Kishane, like, that was big. That was big. Yeah, Bryan, he's building up gradually. Completely agree. He's the one to watch. I completely agree with all of y'all. Completely agree. Okay, interesting. So I wasn't surprised by Bryan's performance. He's going to be a problem over both 100 and 200. Yeah, I agree. I guess I wasn't. I don't know if I was necessarily surprised either, but it was interesting because all the hype going into the meet was Kishane Thompson's about to run the 60. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, Bryan Levell is also in the race. And yes, he got third, but like, listen, we know what he's capable of. So that was good. That was good. That was good. Um, yeah. So his body type. I wonder if you're talking about Kishane. Is his body type just going to lean towards having that type of ending to his races, or does he need to lean out slightly? I don't know. I looked back. I was looking back at some of his races from 2022 earlier today, and I mean, he's always been big. Like that's how big he is. I don't know if he needs to lean out. You look at someone like Asafa Powell, who also maybe similar body type. I feel like Kishane is a little bit bigger, but Asafa Powell was also kind of similar in terms of like physique and body type. So I don't know. And I obviously we've seen that Asafa Powell was sub 10 king, but also the amount of times that Asafa Powell ran 9.7s, it's like, and Asafa Powell didn't necessarily like break down during races the way Kishane does. He just had like a mental thing going on, but I don't know. So I don't know. That's a good question. He can go 19. I mean, yeah, definitely. Like this was for all intents and purposes his second true year as a professional for Bryan Levell. 2024 made the Olympics, made the semifinals. He ran 19.9 at Jamaican trials, and then he comes next year, really turns things up, and he runs 19.6. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if he's going to run 19.4 this year, but like by the time we get to 2027, I wouldn't be surprised. Look at what Let's See Like the Boho just did. He ran 2023 he ran 19.5. I forget what 2022 he ran he ran like 19.8. So 19.8, 19.5, and then he gets to 19.4 by the time he gets to the Olympics in 2024. I could be wrong about the 19.8, but essentially we've seen some progress. Like it's not far-fetched. And at a point when you're running against Noah, Kenny, Letsile, like you have no choice but to run like Bryan Levell had to run 19.64 or he wouldn't have gotten on the podium at the World Champs last year because Letsile ran 19.65. So it almost pushes athletes to be like, I have no choice but to run this fast. He may not be able to get on the podium, or let's say he may not be able to win gold without running 19.4 in 2027 or 2028, right? Like, I agree. I think he's more than capable of doing so. It may just take some time. Yeah, Kishane's second half is not as bad as the fans think, but relative to guys like Noah, Oblique, and Simbine, it looks bad. But that's what I think the thing is. Like, obviously, it's not bad. I don't know. It's all relative because whatever you want to say, whether it's bad or good, you have to beat the people in front of you. So if your top competition is Noah, Oblique, and all these guys and Bryan Levell coming, then your second half has to be good, or else relative to those guys, it's just going to be bad, right? And again, bad is, I guess, a bad word, but it's just like relative to the guys who are consistently beating you at championships, it doesn't matter. Like it's either you are finishing the second half properly or you're not. And clearly he's not doing it as he should be, and he's getting run down. So I definitely hear you, but it's like, I'm not, all due respect, I'm not comparing Kishane Thompson to like Fernando Mayala, right? I have to compare him to Noah and Oblique because those are the guys who are actually competing with him and beating him, right? Like that's what it is. So his second half relative to his direct competition, it's unfortunately not good. That's I think the problem. But I definitely hear that. I think Kishane just needs to do some 200 training or 200 meter races. Just like we saw with look at what Oblique did last year, where he ran 200s at the top of the year in Grand Slam track. And obviously Oblique always had the talent. I think we all knew he was capable of 9.7, but I do think the 200s that he ran early in the year were very, very much beneficial to his hundreds at the second half of 2025. So I think if Kishane does that, obviously he's injury prone. It's like, I don't know. But listen, I would like to see him in some 200s for sure. Noah Lyles should watch out Bryan Levell on 200 2026 championships. Yeah, I'm not too worried about 2026 for any athlete, to be honest. Obviously, it's the ultimate championships, but I can't like say like I don't know. It's just it's so new, and I can't say like, oh, if this athlete beats this athlete at the ultimate championships, then it means as much as a world championships or Olympics. Now, I don't know if that's fair or not, but it's the reality of this situation. Right now, if both of them come out and say like, yeah, we're taking this 100% seriously and we're going to go all in, then that's a different conversation. But I don't know. I definitely do agree though. Everyone needs to watch out for Bryan in the coming years. Like everyone, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Asafa Powell used to be a 200-meter runner. Everyone, go look up Asafa Powell. He's run 19.9 seconds in the 200, I think. 19.90 is his personal best. Asafa Powell can run the 200. And then he just didn't run the 200 after that, at least consistently enough to improve. He could have run, I think Asafa Powell could have run 19.8, close to 19.80. I think he could have, but he just didn't. I think that 19.9 is from like 2006 or 7 or something like that. Like Asafa Powell was good. Yeah, okay. So good point. I struggle a little more to assess Kishane without knowing his plans for this year. Although it's not super difficult to work out. Yeah, I mean, it's true, but it's a different age. Like we're coming off 5 consecutive global championships. So everyone's plans for this year is going to be a little bit different. So it's a good point. I mean, hey, it could happen. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I think I'll say this. I wouldn't have been surprised if Bryan ran the 100 meters in Tokyo this past year. I wouldn't have been surprised if Jamaica swept. Now, we also have to be, the thing that I factor in is how athletes prepare or mentally prepare for a race or championships in general when they know who else is in the field, right? So obviously everyone's watching Bryan right now. Everyone saw Oblique, quote unquote, figure it out, or at least like get healthy and like really and win the gold medal. Everyone is watching Kishane and they know his talent. So Noah is obviously very cognizant of that, right? Kenny is very cognizant of that. And I'm not saying that like, oh, because of that, then they're gonna beat out the Jamaican. No, I don't. All I know is that it's not easy to sweep, right? We've only seen it happen on the women's side with Jamaica in 3 times, right? 2008, 2021, and 2022. On the men's side, the U.S. has swept, of course, a bunch of times as well. But it's not easy. The point is, it's not easy. But y'all got the talent. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. It's probably true. I mean, yeah, 982 and 1964. It's like, yeah, he definitely is the best all around. So yeah, I can agree. Yeah. So yeah, just bouncing off that. Yeah, great, best all around sprinter of the generation. The talent is there. 1960. I'm gonna be honest. All right, let me be completely honest. I think Bryan does have the potential to become the all-time greatest, like all-around sprinter from Jamaica. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to become greater than Usain Bolt, but or Johan Blake. I don't know, but I do think he has that talent. And even going back, like it's impossible to like assess. But when you look at someone like Herb McKinley, right? 1948 Olympics and 1952 Olympics. Like Herb McKinley made the Olympic final in the 100, 200, and 400. I think it was either 1948 or 1952. Like Herb McKinley, in my opinion, actually is the greatest all-around Jamaican sprinter in history, right? But Usain Bolt, because of how far the damage he's done in the 100 and the 200, it's like so far out. I feel like Bryan Levell has like crazy untapped potential. I really do. Like, I don't know. But we'll see. And I think what really did it for me, or what really does it for me, is the fact that he ran the 19.9 last year in 2024. He runs the 19.7 windy at Racers Grand Prix in 2025. And then he backs it up with a 19.69 at the Hungary Continental Tour. Now, many people can look at that performance like, oh, no one else was in that race. Hungary Continental Tour. We don't know if he's going to replicate it, whatever. Then he gets to World Champs. He runs 19.8, 19.7, 19.6. Like at that point, I'm like, okay, nah. You know what I'm saying? 21 years old. Listen. Yeah, Glenn Mills said we're going to see Oblique over 200. Oblique has untapped potential there. He has some untapped potential in that 200. It's wild. All right, let me get to a couple other comments. I realize I'm like 30 minutes in. I want to talk about some of the other results. Yeah, you can't come the podium 2 years out. We got best, greatest. I mean, yeah, I guess word choice is definitely subjective to a degree, but yeah, I hear you. Yeah, outdoor all of them share the same. Yeah, I mean, but the problem is it's outdoors. It's like it's so it's so weird, right? Like, what if I don't know, what if other athletes have run an outdoor 60? It's just like Jamaicans run outdoor 60s very frequently, but the rest of the world doesn't. So it's hard to like gauge like, world record or comparing different things. Yeah, it is interesting. That's an interesting kind of just like stat. They all share the same outdoor 60 PB. Maybe we'll see Elaine, maybe not. I don't know. Elaine, man, check out. I did a previous video on Elaine. After Audubon's comments, check out the comments on Elaine. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Maybe could be. I don't know. We could see Oblique this weekend. I don't know. I have no idea. He maybe. I'd love to see him. All right. Let me get to just a couple others. Yeah, crazy how Bryan used to run the 400 and 400 hurdles occasionally back in high school. He said that he does want to run more 400s. I don't know if it's this year, but in the future, I mean, get that 47 personal best out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? He can run 45, but you know what I'm saying? Let me see. Tyson and Gatlin ran 19.5, so I would give Asaf a 19.7 high at least if he trained for it in his peak years. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. I think I was being a little conservative. Let me just cross check real quick. I was being a little conservative because I was like, what? He ran 19.90, and I'm just gonna pull this up here. Asafa ran 19.90 in the 200, and I think this was. Am I right? This was okay. Yeah. This was in 2006. He ran 19.90 seconds. Let me bring up his all-time 200-meter races where, yeah, Asafo was cooking. He ran 19.90 in 2006. He ran 19.97 in 2010. And let's be clear about 2010. Obviously, this was in June, but 2009, Asafa Powell was injured for most of that year, right? He got bronze at the World Champs running 9.8 in the 100 behind Usain Bolt's 9.58 and then Tyson Gay's 9.71. But he was injured all of 2009. So to your point of him actually taking the 200 seriously, it's like, yeah, if he did, he probably could have run 19.7. Like he definitely probably could have. I probably agree there. Yeah. Okay. So I was just talking about that, right? His groin injuries, like, yeah, he got injured and it was just like it was like too much for him. So I definitely hear that. All right. Let me see. Okay. Last comment before I jump in. So hot take, can he be a way better 100-meter runner than his 200-meter resume, gauging off how he always run a good for the first 150 in the 200. I think better 100-meter runner than his 200. I don't know. It's hard to say. I think he has a lot of untapped potential in the 100. He's finally like living up to that potential. I think maybe the only word I'm getting hung up on is resume. I don't know. Like you're talking about resume would have meant he would have had to medal. Like can he be as medaled every single time except 2023 in the 200, right? Like 2021, 2022, 2024, 2025. And he's gotten silvers every single time. So the resume part, but I do think he has more potential to run like 9.7 mid if he really dialed in with the 200. Kenny B is just another one where he's like an all-around sprinter. He could run 43 seconds in the 400. He could if he really wanted to take it seriously. So yeah, I don't know. Not mad at that take. All right. Oh yes. All right. Last one. I did forget. Asafa made the final at the 2004 Olympic Games over both the 100 and the 200. So obviously in the 100, that's where 2004 season. Asaf Powell was one of the favorites for the gold medal in the 100. Whole different discussion. But in the 200, he made the final. But if I'm correct, he didn't run. Like he pulled out of the 200. And I'm just gonna pull this up. Asaf Powell. Let me bring up his 2004 season. And after this, I'm gonna go into talk about my next one. But yeah, he just didn't run in the final. Yeah, he was a do not start. But he made the final in the 200. Like, and this is 2004. He ran 20.23 seconds in the 200 at the Olympic Games. Like, bro, Asafa was different. And then after that, Asafa was different. All right, Asafa was different. He was different. But listen, we may not get, we won't get the Asafa anymore. Obviously, he's retired. But like one day we may have the opportunity to see, some of these athletes like an Oblique Seville jump into the 200 and really, show some damage, show some strong powers. But one day. All right, let's dive in. See, I thought this wasn't going to take as long, but I know the Jamaicans be making the Jamaicans in terms of the athletes, They always give a lot to talk about. All right, so let's quickly go over and talk about Noah Lyles. Yeah, Noah opening in the 300. Let me see. Let me bring up here. Um, okay, yeah. So Noah Lyles, Olympic 100-meter champion, 4-time world champion in the 200. He is a world indoor silver medalist in the 60 from 2024, but 2026 at the top of the year, he decided to finally open up his season, but in the 300 as opposed to the 60. And this is the first time that he's run the 300 since 2017, so almost a full decade. Ran at 300, Jimmy Carnes invite down in Florida. This is the same meet that he opens up at, every single year that he's been doing the 60 or over the past like 2 to 3 years, really since they built this track in Gainesville. But his first time running the 300 since 2017, and he jumps down and he runs 32.60 seconds. So not an amazing time by any stretch of the imagination. It's, I think, his third or fourth fastest 300-meter time. Again, he hasn't run it since 2017. His personal best is 31.87 seconds, which was the world record back in 2017. He ran it at altitude at Albuquerque. That was surpassed by Stephen Gardner, who ran 31.56 seconds all the way back in 2022. So Noah, he has the chops and the capabilities of running very, very fast in the 300. So this was truly, truly a season's opener when talking about the 300. Now, in terms of how this individual race actually did look, I think overall, the first half of the race looked pretty good. It looked pretty good. His first kind of 120 to 150, in my opinion, was really, really strong. It looked like he really just like wanted to get out, wanted to execute. He had Chekna, he was on his outside in lane 6 while Noah was in lane 5. Noah wanted to get out. He passed Chekna, and then he was able to kind of cruise is maybe a strong word, but he was able to kind of just like coast and get the win overall to get that 32.6. Now, I do think after the 150 meter mark or so, that second half of the race, he did look to be kind of pushing or at least maintaining to the best of his ability to secure the win, right? Maybe looked a little bit labored and definitely less controlled than that first 120 to 150. But again, this was clearly a season's opener, his first race since the World Championships in Tokyo, Japan last year. So nothing to kind of chalk up on like, oh, wow, amazing. No, I think overall, good first half and strong finish for the most part. Now, coming up next for Noah, he does have the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix where he's going to be running the 300 meters. So I'll talk about that a little bit later as well. He's going to be running against Dream Richards, Trayvon Bromell, and Vernon Norwood. But I think Noah Lyles, his goal here, potentially, I don't know, right? I do think his goal may be to try and target a personal best and or a world record, which, as I said, the world record is 31.56. So if we're talking about targeting a world record, he's going to have to drop over a full second, right? A full second. If we're talking about targeting his personal best, we're talking about, at almost a full second, right? We're talking about 31.87 for his personal best, coming down from 32.60 within a week. That's very tough. Now, I do think he is targeting one of those performances, though. I do think he's going to be targeting a 31.87 or a 31.56. In my opinion, though, I think sub 32 is actually possible. It's more possible than, I think most people may think, considering 32.60 is very, very far off. But considering what we've seen from Noah in previous years, where he'll open up down in Florida, he'll run the 60, and I'll pull up, what he did in 2025, where he opened up, running 6.62 seconds in the 60. And then the following week, he drops down to 6.52, right? So he makes a dramatic drop off. In the 300, you have a lot more room to improve if you're actually going from, 32.60 to try and get to sub 32 seconds, which I do think is possible. 31.9 or so. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say world record. If he breaks the world record, that's like, I'm gonna be honest, he's like a whole different athlete. Obviously, he's one of the most talented athletes in history, but like dropping down from 32.60 to 31.5, it's a very, very big drop. But I do think he is targeting something big. But what does he do after that, right? So New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, it's coming up this weekend on Saturday. Depending on what happens in this race, I think Noah may make certain decisions on where he actually does go. probably his team has made the full decisions on what he's actually planning to do. But I think depending on what actually occurs, that will determine what actually does occur, for the rest of the year. So the question I think is, will he run a full indoor season or just end things after running this 300 at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix? I think potentially if he runs quote unquote slow in a sense, so let's say he runs like 32.3 or 32.4, so in that range, right? 32.2 to 32.4, slow in quotes, right? That's not a slow time. It's possible that he continues his indoor season and he finds another race to run a 300 at, because I feel like there's a reason why he's dipping his toes into the 300 this year after almost a full decade away from the event, right? I do feel like he is targeting something in the 300. So if he doesn't run as fast at this New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, possibly he tries to find another race, potentially in Europe. So we do have the World Indoor Tour. So you have, meets in, Ostrava. Well, let me not say Ostrava. I don't think he's going to go there. But let's just say he goes to like any of these World Indoor Tour meetings and they set up a 300 meters for him. Maybe. This is all hypothetical. I have no actual insight. But let's say at this New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, he actually does run fast. Let's say he runs sub 32 seconds. Even if it's like 31.9, right? Not even a personal best, but just 31.9. I actually think that would be a satisfying performance for him. And then he may just end the year, right? I think that could turn out to be one of the avenues he does go. But then on the flip side, he could actually turn his attention to run the 60 meters. Maybe that's in his plan where he wants to run the 300s just to open up to try and run something fast. But then he's like, hey, I actually do want to run the 60 meters at USA's and then potentially at Worlds. Maybe that's his plan. I don't know. Right. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think there's any incentive for him to actually continue to run a full indoor season outside of just trying something different, which we've been seeing him do in these 300s. He's coming off 2025 where he had, he obviously had some injury setbacks. So that was something that hindered him in the middle of the season, even though he did get to Worlds, defended his 200 title, got the bronze in the 100, ran 19.5 and all that. So he was able to, jump right back into things. And then also outdoors, there's no Worlds, there's no Olympics, obviously you have the Ultimate Championships. Again, questions on how athletes will approach that. Maybe he tries something different there. Essentially, though, I don't think the indoor season is going to be as, important to Noah Lyles as it may have been in like 2024, because 2026 is kind of like an open year where he can try a few different things, right? I also think Noah is probably at this point looking at the longevity and the long-term success that he wants to have in his career. It's not going to be easy to keep running 9.7s and 19.3s or 19.4s, every single year. And I say 19.3, 19.4. We spoke about Bryan Levell, where he's going to be coming. Let's see, Boho. He's going to be coming. Kenny B. He may be like, these guys are all younger than Noah Lyles. How is he going to be approaching this kind of second half of his career to ensure that he's able to maintain this insane speed and talent that he's been displaying over the past couple of years into 2027, into 2028, 2029, if he chooses to go a little bit farther? Obviously, 2028 is on the radar, that Olympic Games, but that I think is a big, big question for Noah Lyles. And it makes me question on how he will approach 2026. Indoors, probably not very strong of a focus. Even outdoors, he may try something a little bit different as opposed to actually, focusing in, going hard on 100 and 200 like we've seen over the past couple of years. Just a hypothesis. But I do think this 32.60 from Noah Lyles, very good opener for 2026. I was just happy to see him run the 300 for the first time since 2017. And yes, I know the world record, 31.56, that's way out there. You're talking about a full second being dropped in 1 week. I don't know if I'm not predicting him to get there. I'm not even predicting him to get to his personal best, but I do think that we could see Noah Lyles actually run sub 32 seconds based on just him opening up the season and based on the progress that he's been able to make in previous years where he's opened in the 60 and had a big drop off when we got to, 1 week later at New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Just my opinion, but it'll be exciting to watch and see what Noah Lyles actually does do. And we'll see. I don't know. I would love to see him jump into another 300. I don't know if that's likely, but it could actually happen. Don't be surprised if, the leave-in meet, if they pop up and they're like exhibition 300 for Noah Lyles, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, who knows? They set up those 200s for Ariane Knighton, the past couple years. And, international athletes, they don't run the 200. There's literally no reason to run the 200 except if you're targeting something. So that could happen. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, let me get to these. A couple comments. Yeah, let's have yeah, that I do think Noah is looking to get back to that 300-meter world record. It's just tough, man. Like 31.58 is tough. If he was running the 300, and you got to think about it. He ran, let me pull this up again. He ran this 300 personal best. He ran this at USA's in 2017. So there was no World Indoor Championships, and USA Indoors, they were having like kind of these exhibition events where they did the 300, they did the 600 maybe, like they did these weird events. So it was like the end of the indoor season. Whereas now it's like, USA's is focused on qualifying for world champs. There's no 300. So this is his chance. And then again, maybe he gets an exhibition meet. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but I agree. He has the ability. Like I think Noah has the ability. If he was to dedicate a full season, and let's say hypothetically the 300 was at USA's, I think he has the ability to run like 31.3, if not more. Like, think about it. He ran 31.87 in 2017. Like, he was a child. He was just in high school in 2016, right? And now we're talking about an athlete who has run 19.3. He's run 9.7. And in the 400, he's already dropped down to 45, right? So, like, we're talking about a decade of Noah making progress. And it's not like he's fallen off in any capacity. He ran 19.5 last year. He's run 19.8, but like, he obviously is an extremely talented athlete. This 31.87 is just a different breed, but it's not easy. So I don't know, but I agree. He definitely has that potential. Yeah. I agree. I think the 300, the 200, 300 is Noah's domain, right? Like, it's his domain. The 100, he's become, I commend Noah for like becoming a good 100-meter sprinter, especially like taking on the 60 to improve the aspects of the 100 that he was weak at. I commend him for that. But obviously, like, we see what he does in the 200, and there's a reason he's a 4-time world champion in the 200, right? Like, we see the talent there. And the 300 is just, he got to run a 300 outdoors. Actually, that's what he needs to do in 2026. Run an outdoor 300. Like, come on. Let me see. Yeah, Noah and Dream is a good matchup in the 300. They're going to push each other to sub 32. Yeah. I'm going to talk about the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix in a minute as well. So yeah, that's Dream, man. Dream is coming, yo. Don't sleep on Dream, yo. Dream is a vet, but he's like brand new right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's young. He wants a PR this year in the 200. This is why he's doing that. I think maybe. I mean, I'm sure he does want a PR in the 200. That 19.3 is, he definitely wants to break that 19.3, but we'll see if it actually does happen. We'll see. Just regarding Kishane, I wish Kishane and Freno would scrap the 60 and mostly do 200. Yeah, I'd be interested to know like what their goals are with the 60. Again, in my last live, I was talking about how Freno always has his top athletes run at least one full indoor season in the 60, like all of them. Asafa Powell, Nesta Carter, Shelly Ann Fraser-Price, Elaine Thompson-Herah, Sharika Jackson. They have all run indoor seasons all the way up to the World Indoor Champs, like all of them. And, it is, and all of them except, I think Sharika's the only one who doesn't have a medal in the 60 at World Indoors. Sharika finished 6th place in 2022 in Belgrade, Serbia. So I don't know. Maybe that's just part of Frano's plan to have, them run indoors. I don't know, but it's interesting. Yeah, Noah has a speed in the indoors. I completely agree. Let me see. Oh, interesting. Okay. One potential factor is sponsors also want to see you on the track for a minimum number of events. My guess is this obligatory. Maybe. I don't know. I know that New Balance Indoor Grand Prix is Noah's, that's his agent's meet. Like, what I'm saying? Like, they put on that meet. That's why you see him run it there every year. But, and obviously Noah likes to run indoors, but it is what it is. All right. And yeah, this is a good point. So just in regards to Kishane, so in terms of Kishane running the 60 and the 200, like, can he do both? Yeah, I actually agree. Do the 60 indoors and run the 200 outdoors early season, right? Like, why not? Again, 2026, there's no global championships. Like, use this year to work things out, to strengthen, your weaknesses. obviously, yes, again, ultimate championships, but like we know what the goal for athletes is. We know that their goal is world champs and Olympics. So, work those out. And also, let's be clear. Let's say that Kishane Thompson goes to the ultimate championships and wins a gold medal in the 100. But then let's say he comes back in 2027 and finishes second in the 100 again. And then 2028, he finishes second in the 100 again. No one's going to look back and say that, all due respect, no one's going to look back and say Kishane Thompson is a world champion or whatever it may be, right? Like, we're just not going to look at the ultimate championships in the same light because it's so new. It's just not on equal footing. Whatever it may be, it is what it is. So in my opinion, use this year to work on some different things. I think that makes the most sense, right? All right. So I think the 300 is going to be a test as well as a 150, potentially at Adidas City Games, to give him preparation to go for a great 200 time this year. Yeah, that could be. It could be. Definitely could be, right? Definitely could be. And yeah, I agree with this last comment here. Everything. Like, that is going to be the one kind of like question mark. And it's tough, but like if Noah doesn't win gold at the Olympics in the 200 in 2028, like that will be like one of the craziest, almost like parallel universes where you have this athlete who's like one of the greatest 200-meter sprinters in history, but for whatever reason, they don't have an Olympic gold medal. And we're living in the same universe where Sharika Jackson is one of the greatest 200-meter sprinters in history, but doesn't have any 200-meter medal. Forget gold, but like any 200-meter medal at the Olympic Games. Like it's pressure. It's pressure. I did a video at after Noah won gold at the World Champs in Tokyo. Like, I did a video saying, like, I believe Noah is number 2 all time behind Usain Bolt in terms of overall career in the 200. But there's many people who still say like Michael Johnson is number 2 all time because he has an Olympic gold, right? And of course the world records and all those different things. But that Olympic gold is a big factor. And it's understandable. The Olympics is the pinnacle of the sport as it exists now. But yeah, long way to go to LA. All right, so let me go through and talk very quickly about some of these NCAA results that we saw from this past weekend. Just 4 quick results, nothing too crazy across the board, but some things I did find to be pretty notable and pretty interesting for the most part. Let me see if I have the correct results. Let me see what's up here. I don't even know. Oh yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so quick NCAA results. Let me see. I'm just cross-checking because I gotta make sure I have these things up. Make sure y'all can see it. All right. Dope. All right. So NCAA, another weekend, another high-quality weekend of high-quality performances across the board for some NCAA athletes. There was 4 notable athletes that I do think stood out to me personally based on the performances that they put down across the country in the NCAA. First one, Garrett Calland from USC. Apologize for the pronunciation. I know he's been very prominent over the past couple of years, but he was able to put down a 32.10 in the 300 meters up at Spokane, Washington. This, I think, was a really strong performance because this matches what we just saw last weekend from a couple guys. We're talking about him moving to number 2 all time in the 300, right? Garrett with that 32.10. That matches CD, who just ran 32.10 as well. So both of them are now tied, sitting right behind Ja'Cory Patterson with his 31.99. And the reason that I really, really do like Garrett is because he is a very strong threat when we're looking outdoors in 2026 now. Look at what he's done. He has a personal best of 19.85 seconds in the 200, right? 19.85 seconds in the 200 is what he ran last year. In the 100, he's run 9.93 seconds, right? Very strong performances when talking about the sprints. Now, at the NCAA championships in 2025, he wasn't able to, get on the podium indoors in terms of like the top 3, but coming off him running this 32.10, now going into 2026, I do think this bodes well for what he's going to be capable of, when talking about the 200 meters indoors and outdoors. It's going to be a very, very strong competition when we're looking at. And I do like the fact that some of the competition indoors in the 200 is actually a little bit lighter than what we've seen. So if I look at the indoor NCAA championships where, Garrett actually did it, didn't make the final. He actually he finished 4th place. Cross-checking my comments. But 2025 NCAA championships, Garrett, he finished 4th place. But look at the guys who finished ahead of him. Kali Makarawu, he's done. He finished. He already went pro. Makacharamba, he already went pro. He's done. So Cameron Miller, he's already done, right? He's already done. So now Garrett, he kind of moves up a couple spots if all things kind of proceed going to chalk, right? That's where I do think Garrett does get some opportunities looking into 2026. And again, this 32.10 bodes very well for Garrett when looking into this year. So that's the first performance I did really like from this past weekend. The other one was William Jones, also from USC. 600 meters, so not a very frequently run event, but he was able to drop 115.19 seconds. 115.19 seconds, very, very big personal best, improves on his previous best of 117, which he ran in January of last year, 2025. But it also moves him to number 8 all time when talking about the 600 meters indoors. Now, again, the 600 is not very frequently run. So yes, moving up to number 8 all time, strong performance. It's kind of tough to gauge, with some of the other athletes who may or may not run it. But what I do like is that William is one of the guys in the 400 that we really should keep an eye out for. And this 600 really gives an indication that he is going to be stepping things up, both indoors and outdoors. So if we look at what he's done outdoors, he's run 44.65 seconds outdoors last year in 2025. Very strong performance for William. Indoors, he has a best of 45.24 seconds. That was from 2 years ago in 2024. So he has a lot of room to improve there. He was 5th at NCAA indoors. Outdoors, he was 2nd in the 400. And then indoors, he was 5th place in the 400. So I think he has a lot of room to improve now coming off this 600 meter personal best, big personal best. And considering the talent that we've seen where outdoors, he ran 44.7, right? So I think we have a lot to look forward to when and 44.6. Sorry, when we're looking at William Jones, I think we do have a lot to look forward to in this 2026 season. Now, let's be clear: the 400 is pretty stacked. Like, it's pretty stacked. We just saw Jonathan Sims. We just saw CD, who also is a 400 meter runner. We have Josiah Rice. There's a lot of guys who are running fast already in 2026. At the top of the year, so it's not going to be easy for William Jones to really get to NCAAs and just he's not going to have a glide path. But it's making the 400 a lot more competitive and a lot more interesting, at least in my personal opinion. 2 other performances I did want to highlight. Next one, 60 meter hurdles, very light, just in terms of Antoine Andrews, Texas Tech, holding things down, 7.49 seconds in the 60 meter hurdles, leading the NCAA, by far. No one's broken 7.50 this year yet. But what I do like about this performance is it's likely going to hold up as one of the stronger performances of the 2026 season. We did see in previous years, well, first of all, this does move him up to, let me pull up 7.49. I think this moves him up to number 9 all time. Yep. So number 9 all time when talking about the NCAA. But when you actually look at the historical marks all time in the NCAA, actually, let me bring up. Historically, 7.4 usually tends to be one of the more consistent performances. Anytime you're breaking 7.5 in the 60 meter hurdles, that means that you're going to be one of the athletes contending for a title. So if we look at the 60 meter hurdles, let me bring up the men here. The 60 meter hurdles, last year we saw kind of an abnormally, quote unquote, abnormally fast year. Actually, let me bring up this here. So in the 60 meter hurdles, I'm losing my tabs. In the 60 meter hurdles in 2025, we saw 4 athletes break 6.50 seconds, right? Johnny Brackens, we saw Jacoby Tharp, who's going to be back. We saw Malachi Snow and Jerome Campbell. So this was an almost abnormally fast year when talking about the 60 meter hurdles. We don't very frequently see this many guys breaking 6.50. But now that Antoine is already at, I gotta find him again. Now that Antoine is already at 7.49, I do think this bodes well for what he's going to be capable of doing for the rest of the year. Again, you're looking at Jacoby Tharp, who's back. He's going to be, contending to defend his title. You're looking at a couple other guys, but 6.49, very strong performance. Now, last one I did want to highlight is in the men's long jump. Kennedy Stringfellow. This, in my opinion, was the top performance of the week. of the weekend from the NCAA, in my opinion. Now, it's a long jump, so it's not going to be highlighted, but this was a very good performance. Kennedy Stringfellow from Oklahoma jumped 8.29 meters in the long jump out in Oklahoma, which is a massive, massive personal best for him. Of course, NCAA leader, personal best. When talking about all-time performances, this moves him to number 13 all-time. Now, yes, it's not top 10, it's not top 5, but when you're talking about jumping 8.29 meters to get to number 13, that's a big, big performance. Very, very big performance that I think maybe gets a little overlooked because it is the long jump. But when we look historically over the past couple of years, I'm going to circle back and bring up the long jump here. This is actually the farthest jump that we've seen in the long jump since 2023. So look at what we saw in 2025. So this is the 2025 long jump list for the men. Last year, the best mark was 8.17 meters. That was last year in 2025. In 2024 now, look at what we saw. Wayne Pinnock, he jumped 8.40 meters. Now, we know Wayne Pinnock, when he was representing Arkansas, he went on to win a silver medal at the Olympic Games. He went on to win a silver medal at the World Championships. He went on to win a silver medal at the World Indoor Champs. Like, Wayne Pinnock is one of the greatest long jumpers of this current generation. Forget NCAA, just like in the world. And what we just saw, Kennedy do here with this 8.29, we have to go back 2 years to 2024 to see someone have jumped farther in the long jump. Even if you look back to 2023, so 2023 NCAA men's indoor long jump, his 8.29 meters, which he opened up with, would have ranked him number 5 in the NCAA. And all these guys in 2023 who were jumping, Kerry McLeod, world indoor silver medalist, Cameron Crump, he competed for the USA, for Team USA at the World Indoor Champs. You have Jeremiah Davis. He, of course, was one of the best, jumpers. He also is, representing Puma right now. You have Wayne Pinnock, of course. I just ran down his accolades. So Kennedy really did put down a very, very strong performance here that I do think it will be very interesting to see if he's able to remain consistent. One of the big things is that he has never broken, I'm going to bring up his marks. He has never broken 8 meters in the long jump in his entire career. Like, he's never broken 8 meters. His best before this was 7.77 meters. This was from his season's opener in December 2025. So this was opening up the 2026 season. Prior to that, he had run 7.73. He had jumped 7.73 meters, but this was in March of 2025. So he made a massive, massive jump up to 8.29 meters. Again, can he remain consistent? Can he actually back this performance up and show, okay, this wasn't an outlier. This was something that I'm going to be more consistent in. I'm going to be jumping 8.0, 8.1, 8.2. Maybe I'll get to 8.3. Can he actually do that? Or is this just going to be a flash in the pan? That's my question. But I do think this was, in my opinion, the performance of the weekend. Yes, long jump. It's not the 60. It's not the 300, whatever. I really did like this performance. Shout out to Kennedy and shout out to all the other guys. This was a good weekend for the NCAA. Nothing too high profile. Some of the athletes, they really broke out, over the first weekend in January, returning from Christmas break, New Year's break. Over the next couple of weeks leading into February, that's where athletes are really going to be turning up. So we'll see how things actually do kind of play out. All right. Now, before I move into the last one, because this is the last thing I want to dive into, is just the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, because I'm running way longer than I expected. Let's dive in and talk about this New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Didn't expect to run as long. I know we were talking about the Jamaicans for that long. Before I dive in, shout out to the Clayton twins. Clayton twins are going to be the future forces in the sport, including Brianna Listen. We're about to talk about Brianna Listen in a second, right? But yeah, they definitely are going to be future. Scrap the 60, use it as base for 2027 and 2028. Yeah, talking about Kishane at least. I think Noah should work on his starting because he is a slow starter, but explodes on the second half. So I think if he should get a good starting point, he would make a very big difference. Yeah, I think Noah has always been working on his start, right? That's one of the reasons he even dove into the 60 over the past couple of years, even though he had run the 60 in previous years as well. But like, he really dialed in with the 60 over the past couple of years. He dialed in the weight room. Like, he dialed in with a lot of different things. And he's like fixed certain parts of his start, but relative to the rest of the field, his overall start, because I do think he has some good splits. I'll leave that to other people to break down the splits. But his overall start is he's not like a Kishane or an Oblique or maybe some other guys, but it is what it is. He really does excel in that second half. I believe if Tabo takes the 200 training more seriously, gets stronger, he'll be scary. Oh yeah, I think Letsile and Bryan Levell are probably the two most all-around talented athletes, sprinters right now on the men's side. I think for sure. Now, Letsile, he has shown more. He's obviously been around for a few more years, so he's shown that prowess. But like, yeah, if Letsile starts to run some 400s, like seriously, Letsile would run sub 44 seconds for sure. I'd like to see him do that this year. But hey, yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. All right. So, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna quickly run through some of these this preview, but I'm not gonna spend too much time because been here for almost an hour already. But let me just quickly highlight some of the performances or some of the athletes that we have competing at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Just to highlight, because it's a very, very good meet. It's a very good meet. Again, I'm gonna be up in Boston. Let me pull up let me see what's up here. All right, yeah, so it got you. Okay, so New Balance Indoor Grand Prix going down this Saturday in Boston, Massachusetts. This has been this is one of the more high-profile meets that goes down on the track and field calendar. New Balance, Millrose, and then of course a bunch of meets in Europe. But just to highlight some of the top sprint fields and hurdle fields and jump fields that we do have, men's 300. This of course is the highlight of the meet for the most part. We're talking about Trayvon Bromell, who, isn't known as a 300-meter runner, right? But he does have some strong chops. Trayvon is coming off a very strong 2025 season where he ran 9.84, a couple times. He didn't make Team USA, but he, of course, moved back to his old, his college coach, Michael Ford at Baylor. Shout out to Michael Ford. And this was 2025 was his first full year back with him. I think Trayvon may be kind of scary. I'm not saying he's going to run anything crazy fast. I'm not even saying he's going to win, or he may finish last here, right? Just based on some of the other names. But I do think this will be a very good indicator for what Trayvon is capable of, knowing that he is going to USA's running the 60 meters. So shout out to Trayvon Bromell. Noah Lyles, he's going to be coming off the 300 that I spoke about earlier. This is going to be a pivotal race. I do think he's aiming for something very fast. I think he's capable of sub 32 seconds. I'm not predicting no world record. I'm not even predicting no personal best. Listen, from 32.60, which he just ran down in Florida, to jump down to 31.8, and then the world record at 31.5, that's a whole different conversation. But I do think his eyes are targeting that. Whether or not he gets there, that's a whole nother question. But he's going to have some competition. Now, Vernon Norwood, he ran the 300 last year at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, finished second to Rai Benjamin, but he did set a personal best. And he's coming off a relatively strong 400-meter season where he made it to World Championships. Unfortunately, didn't make the final, but you cannot count out Vernon Norwood. You can't count him out. And then you got Dream Richards. I think Dream Richards is probably the most dangerous athlete in this field. The absolute most dangerous athlete in this field. Dream Richards ran a personal best at the World Championships in Tokyo last year, running 43.7. He got the silver medal in the 400 behind Busen Kebinat-Shippey. And he is, in theory, a veteran of the sport already. Like, he's almost in his second half of his career and like a whole new career as a 400-meter runner, right? He has a 200-meter medal from the 2017 World Championships in London, right? He now has a 400-meter medal almost a full decade later at the World Champs in 2025. Coming off what he did last year, I think going into this 300, he's going to be very, very dangerous. Now, he opened up his season running the 4x4, also down in Florida, because he trains with Noah Lyles and that whole group, right? But I think he's going to be the guy to watch, along with everyone else, right? Everyone has their little storyline, but don't sleep on Dream Richards. Do not sleep on Dream Richards. It's going to be a good one. He has the capabilities of actually breaking the 32-second barrier as well. Let me see if I can pull up the all-time list in the 300. I don't think Dream has actually, obviously he hasn't broken 32 seconds. But where we got he's run 32.10, and he ran this many years ago, back in 2018. And actually, this is actually scary. I'm gonna be honest. Dream Richards ran 32.10 seconds at the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston. if people are familiar with the Reggie Lewis Center in Boston, all due respect, but this is not a banked track. It is like barely banked. It's like a little hill. It's like a little barely banked track. And they used to run USA indoors. Obviously, I'm like being a little hyperbolic. It is a bank, but it's not like New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, right? It's not like, Arkansas or Albuquerque or Texas. Like, it's not a really banked track. And I ran there at the Reggie Lewis. I ran there in college. Like, this is not really a banked track. So for him to run 32.10 there, that's compared to all the other, tracks, this is probably like one of the most impressive performances. So don't sleep on Dream Richards and what he's really capable of. He might be able to do some damage. So shout out to this men's 300. Few others I do want to highlight. We do have the men's 60 meters where you'll see Jordan Anthony. He'll be making his professional debut in the 60 meters, running for Adidas. He also is now training down in Claremont with Noah Lyles, with, again, Dream Richards, with that whole, Adidas group under Lance Brahman. You have Eloy Benitez. He from Puerto Rico. He's been able to put down he had a really good indoor season in 2025. But, he's one to look out for. Got injured at World Indoors. Akeem Blake, bronze medalist in the 60 meters from 2024 in Glasgow. Someone to look out for. Crevon Charleston. He's been on the comeback trail from injury over the past few years. So he's looking to get back. Of course, 2023 USA outdoor champion in the 100. Terrence Jones, NCAA indoor champion 2 times over in the 60. He also is the NCAA record holder in the 60, or tied, I think, as well. He's run the record, I think, on 2 occasions. And then you have Udodi Onwuzurike, representing Nigeria. He, of course, has been one of the stronger, NCAA champion in 2023 in the 200. He, of course, has dealt with some setbacks over the past couple of years, but he's always been in the conversation. Udodi is one to look out for. But in my opinion, eyes for me are going to be on Jordan Anthony. What can Jordan Anthony actually do in the 60 as his opener? We've seen him as the NCAA champion last year in the 60. We saw him as an NCAA champion last year in the 100. We also saw him run that, really fast 9.7. Obviously, I'm not expecting him to drop a 6.3 or even a 6.4 hit. Like, I'm not expecting that. Or even, I don't know. I'm not expecting like a fast time. He'll be doing this, and then he'll be jumping over to Milrose the following week. But it'll be interesting to see how Jordan Anthony does match up in his season's opener and against the rest of the guys, right? Akeem Blake is very seasoned when talking about the 60. So Terrence Jones, he's also, he's been dealing with some setbacks as well. So we'll see how that does pan out. Very quickly as well, we have the men's 400. Now, this race, as I kind of like gauge things, this race is about Quincy Wilson in terms of like, set up for him to get a win. In theory, let me be very clear. In theory, right? We saw him win last year over a relatively strong field of Dream Richards, of Zakiti Nene, right? That was a strong 400-meter field at the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, and Quincy Wilson was able to get the win there. But as you look at the field here, Noah Williams, shout out to Noah Williams. He's coming back, from injury. I think this will be his first meet back from injury over the past couple of years, right? 2021 NCAA indoor champion in the 400. He's run 44.7, I think. But then you have Caleb McRae. He's newly minted Adidas athlete. He's also training down in Claremont, Florida with that whole group of, Noah Lyles, Dream Richards, Caleb Dean, all those guys, right? And then you have Elijah Godwin. He's run 44.8 while he was at Georgia. He's a very strong 400-meter runner. But again, Quincy Wilson, he's like in his element right now. He just ran at the VA Showcase. He ran at the Armory a few times. So he's like in his element, whereas all these guys are just opening up or, they're just kicking things off. Caleb McRae, he ran the 4x4 down in Florida last weekend. So we'll see. It'll be interesting, though. This is a race for Quincy Wilson, but I would not be surprised, especially if Caleb or Elijah Godwin were able to actually win. Shout out to Noah Williams. Like, he's actually won the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix in 2023, I think it was. He won it just over Dream Richards. But it's gonna be close. It's gonna be very close. So we'll see. Shout out to Quincy Wilson though. Let's see what we got. We got the women's 60 meters, which is interesting because not a very high quality field for the most part, but we do have the opener of Brianna Liston, the return of Brianna Liston. Since she left, and we have her going up against Dean Asher Smith, Gina Lukenkemper, Destiny Smith Barnett, shout out to her, Jada Moyet, and Celera Barnes. Now, what I'm looking forward to here is what is Brianna Liston going to be able to do in her opener? We saw her as the NCAA champion in the 60 meters while representing LSU in 2024. We then saw her leave LSU last year, and she decided to fully go pro. She dealt with injuries. Well, even in 2024, she dealt with injuries. Like, she was dealing with some injuries in 2024, which is why she didn't run the Olympic trials for Jamaica that year. Last year, she also dealt with injuries again, so didn't compete, throughout the most of the year. But it'll be interesting. Now, she is also training down in Claremont, Florida with Lance Brahman, with that whole group. So her training partners are Gina Lukenkemper, Daryl Nita is in that group. So there's a few women who are in that group. Let's see. What is Brianna Liston able to actually do, right? And this was the track. New Balance Indoor Grand Prix in Boston. This was a track where she won her NCAA title back in 2024, right? So we'll see. Also, Dean Asher Smith, she just opened up a few weeks ago down in I think it was in it was either Arkansas, I think it was, but she opened up last weekend. So she's now going to be running here. I think she'll also be in Milrose. So she'll be running a couple different, races throughout the indoor season. I don't know yet if she's going all the way to World Indoors, but she's getting the reps in, and she's dangerous. Like, what was it? 2023? I think it was 2023 was her indoor season where she was very, very consistent throughout that year. She's dangerous. So look out for Dean Asher Smith. Solera Barnes, she was the USA indoor champion last year. She didn't run in China at the World Indoors, but she's someone you should look out. You shouldn't sleep on. Gina Lukenkemper, she's been the anchor for Germany over the past couple of years. Olympic medalist in the 4x1, world championship medalist in the 4x1 for Germany. Always someone to never sleep on. And then shout out to Jada Moat and Destiny Smith Barnett as well. So a lot of women in this field. To round things out, we have the 60-meter hurdles. Let me bring this up. Men's 60-meter hurdles. Dylan Beard, Jamal Britt, Trey Cunningham, Daniel Roberts, Lewis Rollins, Cordell Tinch. All these guys. Grant Holloway is missing. Grant Holloway is going to be running the 60 at the Madrid meeting. I think it's in the first week of February. So we'll see Grant Holloway there. But this will be a very interesting 60-meter hurdle race to keep an eye out for. Women's 60-meter hurdles. Also, we have some decent names. I do know that Masai Russell, I think she's skipping out on indoors this year, but Devin Charlton, two-time world indoor champion and the world record holder. Christina Clemens, right? 2018 silver medalist in the 60-meter hurdles. She's going to be in the mix. You have Gabby Cunningham. She was an Olympic finalist in 2021 in Tokyo in the 100-meter hurdles, right? You have Emma Nwafor. You have Megan Simmons. You have Daniel Williams, two-time world champion in the 100-meter hurdle. So decently strong field across the board. Devin Charlton, she's the one I'm looking out for to see, how she's able to kind of execute things. And then last ones, women's 400. Well, last couple. Women's 400, not a very high-profile field, but this is kind of a double situation for Anna Hall. Anna Hall is going to be running the 400 here. It'll be interesting to see what she does throughout the year, but 400 up here in Boston. Shafiqua Maloney, the 800-meter runner. Paris Peoples, 400, 800 runner, I think, as well. Nicole Jurgen from Great Britain, right, 400 runner. So, light field. But the thing is, Anna Hall is going to be doubling up here in the 400 and also in the long jump. If I could pull up the long jump, if I have it here. The women's long jump. So she'll be doubling up here and going up against a very high quality field. You have Claire Bryant, you have, again, Anna Hall, you have Jasmine Moore, Monet Nichols, Tanya Tobias, and Ruth Usoro. Shout out to Ruth Usoro, right? Olympic medalist in 2021, world medalist in 2019, and also medalist in 2022. Like, representing Nigeria, she's been one of the more consistent long jumpers over the year. But, we'll see how this competition does play out. I don't think it'll get much spotlight, unfortunately, as the meet is going on. This meet is like 2 hours long, and it's only 6 women who are jumping. It'll be a little bit mixed, but it'll be interesting. And then last one, men's triple jump. Shout out to these guys. James Carter, he's been a strong contender, for the United States over the past couple of years. Emmanuel Iheme, he represented Oregon. Of course, he represents Italy, but he's been dealing with some injuries over the past couple of years. Russell Robinson is in the mix. So good, field overall. But I'm excited for the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix coming up this weekend, this Saturday. Like, this is probably the first big professional meet that's coming up that a lot of top athletes are going to be competing at. Again, I'll be up there. So I'll be, seeing what's up with some of these athletes, finding out what some of their goals for the indoor season is, what for their indoor seasons are, and, how things are panning out. But it's New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. We'll see how it actually does pan out. I don't think it's not going to be on YouTube. It'll be on, let me see if I can find where this is going to be at. I think it's just going to be on NBC. Yeah. Oh yeah. So it'll be on NBC. Yeah, New Balance Indoor Grand Prix is going to be on NBC from 2:30 p.m. to 4. Let me bring this up on the screen. um, 2026 New Balance Indoor Grand Prix will be shown live on NBC from 2:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Saturday, January 24th. So not on YouTube, unfortunately. This is like, well, I don't know. Right? You can watch it on NBC. Let me see. So, so fun fact. Yeah. Well, fun fact. I know this for sure, but that's a good fun fact, right, for the world, because since primary school, since they were kids, like literally since they were kids, and now all of them are professional. Brianna Listen, of course, is the most recent. And we'll see. Obviously, Brianna Listen has been dealing with injuries, so she needs to get to that level that Tia and Tina are at. The thing is, like, Brianna Listen took the path of going to the NCAAs, whereas Tia and Tina Clayton stayed locally, and that paid off for them. Now, not to say the NCAAs didn't pay off for Brianna Listen, it's just that she got injured, so it's impossible to say what may or may not have happened. And the only other thing I'm just thinking of is, I know some people may say, okay, Brianna Listen should have never gone to the NCAA. Like, the NCAAs, they had her as a workhorse and this, that, whatever. I mean, think of some of your most successful, think of some of the most successful Jamaican athletes. Merlene Ottey was at Nebraska for many, many years, full 4 years. Veronica Campbell-Brown. Now, she spent 1 year, if I'm correct, at Arkansas, but she went to the NCAA. Cron Stewart, she was at Auburn. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, there's many successful Jamaican athletes who went through the NCAA system and still had a ton of success. Like, I literally just, between Veronica and Merlene Ottey, you're talking about the majority of, at least half of like all the Jamaican women's sprint medals in history. Add in Cron Stewart with her medals from the Olympic Games in 2008 and the World Champs in 2009 and her contributions to the relays. So it's like the NCAA is not necessarily it's like, I don't know, just two different paths. It just so happens that Brianna Listen unfortunately got injured. But we'll see. Now it's converging. 2026, Tia, Tina, and Brianna Listen, they're back together in a sense as professionals competing against each other. Brianna Listen is the next one to show, okay, can you make a global final? Because we saw Tia do it in 2024. We saw Tina do it in 2025 and actually get a medal. Can Brianna join them? And then look, next generation. By the time we get to 2027, are we going to see a team of 3 athletes? Tina, Tia, and Brianna? What happens with Sharika? What happens with Brianna Williams? You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens with I don't know, Elaine, if she get, you know what I'm saying? Like, that would be like, all right, new generation completely. But we don't see. Let me see. Oh yeah, so for enhanced games, is Fred opting out on the drugs, and is he just doing it for the money? Also, was Rohan Watson in the development meet last week? If so, did he do well? Yeah. So yeah, according to Fred, he's not taking anything. Again, that's according to Fred, and it is what it is. I mean, obviously, I don't know. He's still getting tested and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's the enhanced games. Like, what? I don't know. You can, every athlete, even what's his name? Wow, I'm forgetting his name. The British guy who just signed. I just watched an interview with him where he's like, yeah, I'm not planning to take anything. Like, cool, but like, it's called the enhanced games. Like, the perception is these are enhanced athletes. Whether or not you're actually taking something or not, the perception is what it is. So, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It is what it is. Ron Motson, was he in the development meet last week? I don't think he was in the development meet this past weekend. So yeah, but he'll be in Stockholm on Thursday, so we'll see. Yeah, that's not a good track. I don't like it. This is in regards to Reggie Lewis. Listen, I ran at that track a couple times in college. Like, yeah, it's not. Just got here from Video Game on Live. Yeah. What did I miss? I just covered, and this will be up, once I end the stream. But this is what do you call it? This will be up. I just spoke about the Jamaicans, their season's opener, Kishane, Bryan Levell, Tia Clayton, and they have the Stockholm meet coming up. I also spoke about Noah Lyles, his 300, his performances and like what that 300 meant, that opener, what it means for him running 300 this weekend. Some of the NCAA results was able to highlight, and then just ended off with New Balance Indoor Grand Prix. Just a quick preview. So a couple different things. Again, this live will be still up, and I'll post some clips as well. Oh yes, if you're from the UK, you can watch it on World Athletics. I think it's like Inside Track or something like that. If you're in the UK, or if you're in like different parts of the world, United States, it's in New Balance Indoor Grand Prix is going to be on NBC. So yeah, and like you said, shout out to you, right? New Balance, other European countries, and also some Asian countries as well. So definitely going to be there. Yeah, Veronica Campbell-Brown, yeah, she went pro. She said she went pro early, so she had the decision to race when she wanted to, so she wasn't burnt out. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, she ran a lot in 2000. That was 2004, right? 2004 is when Veronica Campbell-Brown was at Arkansas. She broke the NCAA record indoors in the 200. Outdoors, she competed at NCAA championships, and then she went pro after that, and then she obviously won the Olympic Games there. So after that, but I only say it because it's like many times athletes will say, okay, the NCAA ruined, or I'm sorry, fans will say the NCAA has ruined an athlete, but it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like mixed, right? It's mixed results to say so. Like I said, eliminate Veronica, right? Merlene Ottey ran a full 4 years at Nebraska in the 1980s, right? And she is literally the most winning is in terms of like the amount of medals that she's won throughout her career. She's won the most medals out of any Jamaican woman. Now, not all, obviously she doesn't have as many gold medals, but I'm just saying like she had a career from 1979 at the Pan American Games all the way up to just in Jamaica, 2000, the 2000 Olympics. And the only Olympics that she did not win a medal at was 1988. That's the only Olympics she didn't win a medal at. And in the 200, she finished fourth by like a couple hundredths of a second. So I can't say her NCAA career ruined her. Now, obviously, each athlete is going to respond in, differently to NCAA training and which school they're at and all those different things. But I just can't put a blanket statement and say, oh, Brianna was ruined by the NCAA. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. If she wins, next year at the World Championships, she runs 10-7 or something, like we're gonna be like, it is what it is. But good call out. Yeah, VCB. Yeah, Oblique wanted to run the 200, so hope to see him this season trying it out. His toe surgery was success. Absolutely. I think he has potential at minimum to run like 19.8, at least 19.7. And if he really took the 200 seriously over the next year or two, he can run 19.7. Yep, both of them, Crystal Soley, Gary Card. I remember them at, I was down in Jamaica last year. I saw Gary Card for sure. I think Crystal Soley was there, but I know, no. Crystal Soley was not at Champs last year, but she's also one who's like on the rise. She's definitely, she ran, am I right? She ran sub 11 in 2024. You can cross check me in the comments, but I feel like Crystal Soley ran sub 11 in 2024. I'm actually, let me just pull this up so I can just check it. I feel like she did at maybe the Racers Grand Prix. Let me see. Yeah, 10.89, right? I feel like I remember her doing it. That 10.89. I remember she did do it and it might have been 2024. I'm sorry, yeah, 2024. I think she did it. So let's see. Let me just bring up all her 100-meter marks, because yeah, she is she ran 10.99 at the Racers Grand Prix. So 10.99 Racers Grand Prix in 2024. So yeah, that was a year that I remember her for sure. She was like cooking, and that was behind Julian Alfred. No. Yes, Julian Alfred. Listen, man, I'll be remembering. But now, shout out to y'all. Julian Alfred, I remember that she ran 10.78 at Racers Grand Prix. So 10.99, Crystal Soley. Yeah, she's gonna be a threat. She's someone to definitely look out for. All right. And yeah, this is in regards to Oblique Seville, right? His coach said he can go super fast. Absolutely. We know Oblique has talent. So all right, dope. All right, so went for an hour and a half. Appreciate y'all. Thanks so much. We covered a couple different topics. I'll be at Boston this weekend. And then we have Milrose the following weekend. I'm gonna put this up for y'all to like watch back, so you can always watch back this live stream. I'm also gonna put some clips of this on my backup channel. I'm like building certain things out, but yeah, appreciate y'all and thanks for watching. See y'all next time.